So recently I found this early illustration of French aristocrats playing with the yo-yo. Now, if you're thinking, how cool is that? Then keep watching. If you aren't, then you're dead to me, and you should go find a video marathon of people playing the original Pong game and watch that for a few hours. Anyway, the image is from 1791, which is the start of the French yo-yo craze during that period. It is also during the period of the Terror, and I will circle back to that little French merrymaking era and its importance to this illustration. There are several other images from this time frame in France documenting the yo-yo, and you may have seen some of them. Many ended up being political cartoons. Now, what you're seeing here is an original lithograph. I first laid eyes on it when I was in France a couple years ago. I told our guide my primary interest while in Paris was finding yo-yos / bandoliers. My wife apparently thought we were there for other reasons and had previously given our guide some misinformation. So he kind of looked at me like I had asked how I could rappel down the Eiffel Tower. Now, I had no intention of rappelling down the Eiffel Tower, but it turns out you can't yo-yo off the Eiffel Tower with a really long string either. So I'm not real clear what all the hubbub about this thing that I originally confused with a cell phone tower is. But I was able to do the Eiffel Tower string trick in front of the Eiffel Tower, so I guess my Paris visit wasn't a complete bust. But I digress. Anyway, our guide was great, and he dug up a French article on the history of the yo-yo in France, which showed this image, and I was so excited I wanted to see it in person. However, my wife had already made other plans, like boating down the Seine while being served snail mucus, which actually wasn't too bad as it took the bad taste out of your mouth following eating the little gooey tentacle thingies. It turns out the lithograph was in the French National Archives, and I figured, crap, now I'm going to have to go back to France to track this thing down. And then this shows up on all places on eBay. Now, so let's take a closer look to see why this image is so historically important. First, the translation is nobles playing with their yo-yos. Joujou de Normandie translates to toy of Normandy. Why this is important? Because it shows the immigration for many aristocrats from Paris during the time of the Terror to other countries in Europe. This is to prevent their heads being lopped off by Madame Guillotine. And if you think politics are bad now, I invite you to take a time machine back to Paris 1792 and shout out, "Long live the king!" How neat it would be having your head share the same basket with Marie Antoinette and King Louis XVI. So the yo-yos were a popular toy amongst the upper classes, and they apparently took their toy with them when the French Revolution started around 1789 and in the early 90s. Although there are rumors that do persist that some elites carried their yo-yos with them when they went up to Madame Guillotine, I am a doubting Thomas until I see some actual real true documentation of that. So doing a close examination of the image, one item I found interesting was all the adults were playing the yo-yo, but the child was playing with a jumping jack. And if you're not familiar with the jumping jack, it's been around for thousands of years, reportedly even in Egyptian times, which tends to blow apart the idea that the yo-yo is the world's second oldest toy. I personally doubt the yo-yo is even in the top 10 oldest toys, but I'll have another little segment on that little fable later. The other interesting thing is all the images suggest the yo-yo is only being used to go up and down the string. Although there are images from that period suggesting tricks such as forward passes and loops, maneuvers requiring a slipstring don't seem to exist, suggesting these were all fixed or peg-stringed yo-yos, which is what all us historians thought all along anyway. So, for those of you that didn't already flee to the Pong Marathon, you remain scholars, ladies, and gentlemen.